Everybody, so Zinj saw fit to take away our Roll20 privileges out here in the warp, so session's canceled. I am joined today by my boys, Sam.
Hey.
Josh.
Hello, what's poppin'? I am the Dan again, and the wind is pushing me.
Why are you? Oh my fuck. And Matt.
I don't even know where to start with that one, Josh.
With what?
There's nowhere to start. He's the Dan.
I am the
That's all
Dan
you need to know.
Yeah, what are you confused about?
Alrighty then.
I'm just surprised that the Twitter bit was continued.
Yeah, I do appreciate the continuation of the Twitter bit.
No, this is going to be one of my favorite bits of all time. We're just trapped in the warp.
This is a good reason to follow us on Twitter. There you go. No advertising.
And by the time you follow us, hopefully our Geller fields are still active.
I don't know what that is, but sure.
It's great.
The wind is pushing me, though, you know?
I'm sure it is. Wind does crazy things in the warp. God damn it. Okay. All right, boys. So I have a question. A very broad question that breaks down into about 20 more specific questions if we look at
me at the bar last night.
That's good to know. That's all right, because there's one of us, and I whittles things down. Anyway, so I know a lot of us, we have hit very dramatic points in the games that we are running, which is to say, I just ended my first major arc in about 2 years. We have hit a new land, if you will, in Josh's game, narratively speaking, at the very least. Sam, we're trying to get a session off the fucking ground.
It's fun. Something tells me that this week is also going to be a bust, but it's fun.
Oh fuck! I'm able to play though.
I know. Look, I'm going to do my damnedest. And then Matt obviously is starting a whole new game soon.
Yeah.
So, to you boys, I have to ask you this.
You have to ask me, mate?
I look. I gotta ask you this. God damn it. I have to ask you this.
Killing it today.
I know. Shut up. Have you guys ever felt like you have just sort of lost control of the reins? Has Jesus taken the wheel from you while you were GMing? And I know that's kind of vague and unhelpful. I sort of mean like, have you ever hit a point where you feel like where you are currently in your game in an encounter or a specific character or plot-based arc, or just the game in general has gone off the rails?
No, I'm flawless. Anyway, see y'all next week.
May I
Session's canceled,
introduce you all to Healthy as Fuck Horse? Again.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely part rhetorical. We talk to each other constantly about this kind of stuff, but I do kind of want to propose it and ask more specifically, what is usually your plan when something like this happens? I'll give you guys an example. The big arc that I was just running for, again, like the last 18 or so months began not in a way that I thought it would. I pushed a side quest closer to the forefront because I thought it would be an interesting way to provide the players with a sort of character-based thing to do in response to their own actions. And I'll explain what that means. One of my players' mentor had gone missing. It happens quite a lot, apparently. And when he had come back, he busted through the door. He was bleeding out, covered in gunshot wounds. And one of my players, her whole thing is, this person is like my father figure. So she books shit out of the apartment that they're living in, and there's a pharmacy next door, and she just kicks her way John McClane style through the glass, ruins her feet on the glass shards. And because she rolled terribly on an investigation check to find the right medicine and medical supplies, she tampered with and contaminated a lot of the sterile goods that you need for medicine. And because of that, they had to ask a sort of corpo asshole who's also a gator man, I've brought him up before, for their help. For his help, sorry. And there was this whole mini plot revolving around this like secret weapon that's being developed, and that eventually spun out into a full 18-month long character driven like story arc. And I bring this up because, like I said, that was just supposed to be a side quest that would hint at a greater villain for the arc, but was not supposed to be the focal point and eventual antagonist of the arc. He was just sort of supposed to be the, I almost said Riddler to the Joker, but in context of the Batman movie, that doesn't make any fucking sense. He was supposed to be a side villain to the main villain, the Sauron to Sauron, if you will, where it was completely fucking flipped.
A secondary antagonist, if you will.
Yeah. And, you know, for me, I was like, this is not the direction I want to go in. And I got very tired of this sort of direction that things were going in, you know, 9 months in. And then imagine my luck when we do another 14 months of it, or 7 months of that. But I did it, you know, because the players were super interested in it. And I was like, well, they won't let this thing go. And I said to them, in and out of character, this guy is not as important as you think he's doing some evil shit. You know, you can tell that from a base glance, but he's not like this mastermind that you guys are making him out to be. And they were like, nope, fuck him. We're gonna fucking kill him. We're gonna out him as it was a bastard. And I was like, all right, he's bad. Okay, I'm not listening. Okay. All right. And I, like I said, eventually just sort of shifted to make him the primary antagonist as opposed to just fighting it so hard, because I learned that by not fighting it and just embracing it, it became easier, and I sort of found some excitement in it again. Yeah. What about you guys? What about you boys?
I mean, I can talk about healthy as fuck horse all the time.
There was a lot of shit out there. Question: if your plan was this guy is not the primary antagonist, but is the antagonist like lieutenant, why did you not just keep it that way and let your players like sort of assume incorrectly?
Well, because he wasn't like the lieutenant. It was, they're two bad guys that are working against each other, but are working against the party. Sure.
Whatever I mean, it doesn't really matter what his station was, but I'm just saying, why did you not just stick to your guns on that particular point and let them misinterpret the situation and go from there? Like, why did you retcon him into greater importance? That's the part I don't understand.
The problem there is kind of twofold. First was they were beginning to make it the only thing they cared about. And while I told them from the inception of the game, like, quest lines will happen with or without you. Like, once you spark their inciting event, they're going to keep going. But they were doing stuff adjacent to the quest line, but it wasn't getting them any progress in said quest line. And they wanted to progress in it, but they seemed kind of, at first, maybe a little misguided. Maybe I didn't like describe it enough.
All right, hold on. Wait, hold on. Before you go on, because I feel like you're misunderstanding. My question here is, why did you make him as a character more important generally? Because I feel like by making him more important, you further increased the derailment problem.
I probably did. The long and short of it was that the players were really invested in it, and I felt like to some level they were split between, he's not the main villain, this other thing is what's more important. But because the party was like pulling itself apart so hard, that I sort of made it so that, and let me specify, he wasn't like the main villain. The main villain was still the evil bandit lord man, but once he failed his mission the bad guy they were after was gonna like enact his evil plan. So he wasn't necessarily the main villain, but he was the final villain, you know?
Yeah, I still feel like you're dodging around the issue a little bit here, though. Like,
I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying to explain it the best I can. I don't know.
Like what I'm saying is, because you're talking about this as an example of things got off the rail and like ended up, they did this thing way longer and paid way more attention to it than I had wanted. But if you had not taken the character in question being Gariel, if you had not taken Gariel and lifted him to greater importance, I feel like the derailment would have been far less. And it would have been instead a situation where your players are like, all right, we got the bad guy. And then it's like, JK wasn't the bad guy. And then they'd be like, oh no, there is someone greater beyond this. And it could have been like an interesting thing. But because you like elevated his importance, you almost like reinforced your own and their, both your own and their derailment of the situation.
I mean, I guess that the ugly truth was I was tired of fighting it.
Sure.
And trying to like subtly sort of guide them back to the right direction, but they latched onto him so hard that it was right. At what point was I having to argue with myself, am I just gonna have to force this and force the party back in the direction I want it to go in, or can I use their excitement and passion to further their goal anyway by just shifting a few things around?
Sure. My thing though is, if you had just allowed them to continue the path they were, like if you didn't change anything and you just allowed them to continue the path they were on, and then they engaged Gariel and then found out, oh, he was not the main thing all along, I don't see, it doesn't really seem like an issue to me. Like, I'm not saying what you should have done was force them back onto the path you wanted. I'm saying keep letting them do the thing they're doing and then realize that they fucked up and like made an incorrect call and just let that happen naturally. But instead what you did was you like sort of retcon the importance of a character, so it made them seem like they were more correct than they actually were. And then that further, that basically made them double down on the derailment situation that you weren't really about. You know? Like, I don't basically what I'm saying is you intervened, and I don't know if you actually had to. And you've never mentioned this part of the story, so this is an interesting thing that you're bringing up now, because like I had assumed the way you had always talked about this particular, part of your campaign, that this Gariel character was always meant to be a fairly important bad guy. But now you're saying it's like, oh no, he wasn't supposed to be an important bad guy. I turned him into an important bad guy, even though I didn't like him that much, and or I wasn't that invested in him being a more important bad guy. I think you should have just let it rock.
It wasn't his importance as a bad guy per se. It was his
importance in general.
Yeah, well, because he was an important NPC in like the cosmology of the game's universe, and he was evil, but it just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just like I said, I guess I figured it would be easier to shift things around than to fight my players on something they may not have been as interested in. So if I sort of shifted things around to do what they were interested in and also achieve the same goal as the ones who were more interested in the plot line than the character, I got the best of both worlds. I didn't have to worry about like having them choose, because if half the party is actively trying to solve the overall, like, there are bandits rising up, but then other people want to focus on this one guy, I don't want to punish the party who are...
Well, it's not a punishment. You still give them what they want, which is going after the guy that is their target. But what I'm saying is you just sort of let the players sort of fuck up. Let that mistake happen. Let them misinterpret who they think is the more important target, and then like, oh, he wasn't the important target. We fucked up. We have now entered a new stage of the scenario, and then kind of go from there. because essentially your players were wrong, right? Like they made an incorrect assessment, and then you retroactively made their assessment correct. And I don't know if they really needed to in this situation. Maybe I'm off. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base on this. I don't know if Matt or Sam feel like I'm wrong, but like, yeah.
I don't feel. I feel like both of you have different ways to go about this. In like, I mean, that's like the most obvious statement I can make. You're both going about this different ways. What I mean is that neither of you are wrong. I personally find it hilarious when players just assume the wrong thing, because like everybody does that.
Yeah, it's like not necessarily a bad thing for players to assume that they're wrong. Like to assume the wrong thing is the kind of the thinking I'm having.
That being said, like, sometimes when your players think something, like you realize, oh, that would be cooler. Or
yeah, if it's a better idea, sure.
Like,
yes.
But if you're getting annoyed with it, like, at that point, I would just stop telling things to my players and be like, okay, yeah,
okay, I think
believe that you do the thing, and then they fuck up, and you're like, I'm not punishing you for this. This is
you're not punishing
if it ain't
or
the
rewarding.
Consequences of my own action.
Yeah, you're not. It's not a punish or reward. I think the crux of the situation is that Isaiah is bringing this up as an example of things going off the rails, and that's why I'm saying you shouldn't have made the adjustment. If you're right in that if it's a situation where the players come up with an idea and you're like, oh, that's actually cooler, then yeah, adjust to that. That makes sense. But if it's a situation where you're like, oh no, this is not a better idea, it's just my players are latching onto it, then I feel like maybe don't make the adjustment.
I mean, so it is worth noting that now that it's all said and done, I think it went in the direction it should have. I'm going to be real.
But you didn't know that at the time.
I didn't know that at the time.
When you were feeling derailed, you didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I figured that I should say, I guess I figured, because I didn't know this at the time, but I guess I figured it would let me do the thing that I kind of wanted to explore when I had like originally made this quest line. But it also gave the players a sense of not aha, because they never ended up being right, but a sense of they have a goal that they set and they were able to accomplish said goal.
Yeah, which is fine. I get that part. That part makes sense,
I felt good that they had their own agency, despite the fact that this was a very like narrative heavy, not railroady, but like there were plot points that were going to get hit.
Yeah, but you sort of made their goal and the thing they wanted to do more important than it was initially. Like it was level 1 importance before, and then you made it level 3 importance, and it's like, even if it is their goal, you could just let it be their goal. You don't necessarily have to adjust the importance of it. Like sometimes players just latch onto shit that's like not the main thing, but they latch onto it anyway, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, some players just they latch onto the wrong things, or not necessarily wrong things, but like
not the things you either intended or something you didn't put enough thought into, and then they attach to it, and now it's like, oh no, now I have to think about it on the spot.
Yeah, I was literally talking to Matt before everybody else joined. I was like, yeah, no, I am the agent of chaos that goes, okay, but like, what's the NPC's name? What's their backstory?
Yes.
And because I just, when I'm it's like one specific instance is Josh was running Starts With That Number. I know we mentioned this campaign a lot, but I ran into a security guard and he was like having a really bad day, and I'm like, I have an ounce of sympathy for this guy. What's his name? And then about half the session was just me talking to the guy. We got about maybe a quarter of the stuff that we wanted to get done because I spent most of it talking to the guy.
I love that shit. My players have the that joke from the Mulan movie anytime an NPC shows up without a name, because I literally do the thing where it's like, oh, what's your name? And I'm like, I have a name, and it's a good one. Randomly Googling fantasy names.
Yeah.
Because I don't do the smart thing and just like have a list of names picked out on my
I was just about to say that,
imaginary
Matt.
Roll20 DM. I never do it.
Is
and
the
this
play.
comes up every time. And I should do this, but I don't.
All right, hold on. This is going to be a public service announcement to anyone listening to the internet at abroad. You're going to hear many offerings of advice, many different things about how you can make your game better, how you should run your game, how to do this, how to do blah, 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 blah. None of that will be as important as this little nugget of advice, which is make a big list of names that fits your setting and have it ready to rock. So as soon as a player comes at you with, what's the goblin's name, Josh? You can go, Grook, motherfucker. And then just drop the mic.
See, I
have that list of names ready.
But Xanathar's guide, like that whole back of the book, there's so many names that I'm like,
Matt,
I never have to make a list. I just have to pull up the PDF.
Use the back of Xanathar.
Whatever and that's list, what I do. It just takes that like extra time of like, I have a name, it's a good one. Hold on, let me open up the book real quick.
Whatever list you need, whether it's your own list, a list in another book, a list on a website, it doesn't matter where or what the list is. Just have the list. That's the key. Have the list. So you don't have to have Boblin the Goblin. You can have Gratulmash the Goblin, you know?
Okay, but Boblin the Goblin is a great name.
I mean, I'm not against Boblin. He's a homie, but you know.
It's funny. I've had some of my favorite moments in my game because my players did the thing. They did the thing that I did to my second GM. And I specify second because I know my first. I know Chris thought of names for everybody. He wasn't the one I was testing. It was fucking LP, and I was just like, "Hey GM, what's the blacksmith's name?" He just looked at me and was like, he has a name. He
looked you dead in the eyes and said, Stefan Buscemi.
It was really funny. We made the joke that every shopkeep, blacksmith, and fucking merchant in LP's game was just like Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny, because they all had like hey, what do you mean? What you need? I got anything you need. It was so fucking great. We were like, hey, it's you, and you were like, hey, you know my brother.
You know, it's my cousin Bob. Aren't you also named Bob? Yes, I am.
It was very fun.
You know, fucking Stefan Buscemi. Listen. The way that I remember names is by making them ridiculous. So in my Monday game, that's now a Saturday game, I had an NPC that was like a macho man. He was a himbo. He was like the himboest himbo you would ever himboed. And my players were like, oh, what's his name? I'm like, Scrumbo.
Fucking Scrumbo. I'm crying.
And it was literally I don't have a name for him because I didn't think we'd get this far today. First thing that came to mind, Scrumbo. And then I'm like, wait, he has brothers. Okay, so we've got Scrumbo, Bumbo, Grumbo.
Grumbo.
I just went down the list and they're just like, so their names are Scrumbo, Bumbo, Grumbo. Yeah. Those are their names. I'm like, okay.
Here's the thing. Depending on the conviction with which you said it, Sam, it either would have been like, he's making this shit up, or it's like, no, I know he planned this. He has to have, you know?
Yep.
You just made up all those words.
If you say things with conviction, players always just assume you planned it.
Yeah, I mean, they loved Scrumbo. Not even because of his name. He was just he was a himbo. He was very nice to them.
Yes.
Although a little stupid. So they were like, we love
Pure
him.
of heart, but dumb of ass.
Yes, exactly. Like, they haven't seen Scrumbo in about 10 sessions, and the last session that we played, they were like, I miss Scrumbo. I wish Scrumbo were here.
I miss Scrumbo.
I'm just sitting here like, yes, my greatest NPC, Scrumbo.
I mean, that was me playing Elden Ring with Alexander.
Also,
I mean, boy. I saw
was literally like, there was also Wall, which you guys remember. Wall Senpai.
Wall Senpai.
It's just It's dumb names. Just are I don't know. They give me more power.
Stop the wall.
Yeah. Good times. But like, you know, I enjoy when a player does that. When a player derails by asking an NPC's name or backstory, and you're just sitting there like,
Now is that really derailing, or is that
Bill.
just like getting caught unprepared?
It is absolutely derailing when it's me.
It's sort of. It's yeah.
It depends on the extent that you play into it. Really, is what it is.
Yeah, it's maybe not derailment in the traditional sense that most people think of it, but it's a form of it. I would say. It depends. I mean, again, for me, it's not derailment because I almost always have those names ready to rumble, and I will throw them out quick. But there's definitely a certain of like, if a player does it where they just randomly ask a character's name, even though it's not relevant, then they are kind of intentionally trying to derail you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had that where it's like, is this a bit? Are you just trying to throw me off? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they fucking are.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you ever have to ask yourself, yes, they are. They're trying to throw you off.
I will say, side note to the name thing, as we're on this, another good PSA to the people of, I don't know, the universe out there. It's okay to reuse names, because I don't know if y'all realize, but in real life, people have the same names. So you can meet a Bob at the gun store and a Bob at the grocery store. It's okay. You can reuse names. Every human being on the planet does not have a unique name. And that is also true of medieval fantasy. There may indeed be a Drakon and a Drakon. It's fine.
Well, how do you guys feel of
gyms that I've put out there?
How do you guys feel about regular names in your fantasy world, like someone named Bob in your high fantasy?
It's fine as a goof, but I don't want. It's a no as far as like. I fucking hate it if you're trying to make it like a legitimate character as like a goof, whatever, fine.
Right. I think
no,
because most of the time I do it as a goof, but like then the NPC will stick around. And I'm like, ah, shit. Like,
yeah, like I had a character in our Star Wars campaign named Greg. Greg was just kind of there.
But I don't know why, but I feel like with like sci-fi, you can get away with that kind of stuff more.
Normal sci-fi, yes. Star Wars, no. Star Wars always has weird as fuck names, so someone having a normal name like Greg is a whole other thing.
We have Luke.
We do have
Ben.
what the fuck? No.
Okay, yes, there are a couple of characters in Star Wars that have normal names, but it is more common to have things like Han and Boba. Those are more common in Star Wars. Anakin.
Anakin's actually a real name. I believe I believe it's Native American, actually.
Well, that man is not Native American. But anyway.
I know he is not. He is
right.
Desert planet.
but I think in like one of my games I had like, it was I told the story of the Great Joke, which I'll probably retell at some point today because it's mega derailment. One of the NPCs that the players hung out with and then brought to the astral plane was this it was a teenage monk guy. I literally described him, I'm like, oh, just a goth shadow monk elf, like not a dark elf, but just like some a random elf. And they're like, what's his name? And I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know. And I randomly saw the picture of the Sigma male with the beard and everything. He's like, oh, what a Chad. So I'm like, Chad. His name is Chad Elfington. And my players were like, oh, okay, Chad Elfington, right. And I'm like, oh no, they believe me.
Yeah.
Shit, that's his name.
I mean, yeah, they're not gonna like, yeah, once you say it, like, what do you think they're gonna be like? No, it's not. Like, yeah, no, they're gonna believe you.
Well, not even that. It was mostly just like, we had the big joke, and then it's like, all right, this is the guy's name. All right, Chad Elfington. Hell yeah, brother. And then I think I literally just grabbed I literally Googled like Final Fantasy goth elf, and I picked like the first picture.
Sorry, I usually name like important NPCs, and like there are so in the Friday game, the one that we haven't played in over a month, I have every part of the staff named for the school, and some of them are like fantasy names. Some of them are Gargle. And I'm just like, yeah, Sam.
Is it Gargle the Gargoyle?
No, he's
Damn it.
he's the Goblin Dorm Master.
Oh yeah,
Son
yeah,
of a bitch.
remember him?
And then there's Borer, the librarian, that you never actually have seen because he doesn't work in the library very often.
Yeah, I mean, my general take on the goofy names is whatever. A little once in a while is like, LOL, this guy's name Steve is fine. But for the most part, I do put quite a lot of effort in like picking and sticking with and committing to a name that fits the sort of vibe of what I'm trying to go for, because that is one of the ways that I think, I mean, as loath as I am to say the word, it is one of the ways that helps with immersion. So I do try to stay within. So like most of the characters in my current game have very Grecian names. You know, there's a Themistocles, there's a Draco. You know, there's fucking Pallades. Like they have very Grecian vibe in names. But also, you know, it's okay to have a day every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big one for me
It has
is
nothing to do with railing things, but you know, anyway.
yeah. Well, I wanted to.
Jason, I see.
Yeah.
For me, if I'm going to use normal names, I like to break it down to their etymology. You know, like if I name someone like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a normal name that's got like some like interesting etymology to it.
Any Hebrew name for me?
Yeah, yeah.
John.
Like,
I am okay, not John, but like, you know, Jacob or something like that.
yeah, exactly. Like, you know, I will. I don't know how to word this without making it sound weird. If I name like a character like, yeah, like my name, right? Like Isaiah, I will. If that character in that area of people is named Isaiah, then I will probably try to put some respectful Hebrew influence in that area and have the other characters be named in a similar vein. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's another thing is if you are, that kind of goes back to what I was saying, where you're creating like a certain vibe, you're creating an immersive kind of feel if what you're doing is being like, normally characters have this style of name, but in this area of the world, they have this style of name. So like, yeah, that's fine if you want to have character, like, you know, in my game, if you guys were to go to like a different island and suddenly everyone had very European sounding names, you'd be like, huh, that's interesting, you know? So yeah, you can use it as like a plot point or like to sort of create intrigue.
This is a spoiler to my players actually. Their guild master is named Jaga, like Jaga, and they've never, like, a few of them asked, like, you know, I think one person asked, like, you have an interesting name, because everyone around that area is just named like, you know, like Tomas or like Alia, just like normal names. But it's like, why do you have like a weird name? And it is a plot point that like he has like not a real name, but like that's not his full name. And I can't wait for them to hear it for the first time and just be like, really? That's your name? You know what I mean?
You're gonna pull the Spider-Man, you're like, what's your name? Dr. Otto Octavius. No, seriously. Fuck? Just make fun of my name?
Yeah, it's gonna be that.
Octavius, it's my name. What is your name, mighty warrior? Blagagar Boltigan. Oh, no, you can't. No, buddy,
no, bud.
Don't do
bud.
that.
No, you were bullied, weren't you?
And then he whispers at you and you die. You're sad. Anyway.
Yeah, back to derailing. You know,
that was a derail.
How?
A little bit.
Yeah, I suppose it was, right? Yeah, so I guess we're on topic.
Yeah.
I 35 minutes in, I guess I you know, I want to push the stage to you guys and sort of ask, like, what is your usual methodology for things like that?
I'll be honest. So the way that I'm running the Friday game is I have timers running, essentially. And if you guys don't do a thing, by the time that the timer goes off, a thing happens. And that's it. That if you derail, things are still happening. The world is still burning, essentially. So, like, y'all can do whatever you want, is what I'm saying. but I'm gonna still do what I'm doing in the background regardless, because the plot's still gonna happen.
Yeah,
just like the real world.
I mean, the idea of fronts is a pretty standard device, and good to use. But there is you can run into a situation where it's like, even though you have your fronts running in the background, that players just fuck off so hard that they don't even matter anymore, and that is like a whole new echelon of derailment.
I mean, if y'all managed to do that, that'd be impressive, because like,
maybe for your specific, for your specific game that might be a little hard, but for there are certain situations where
it's. I understand.
Your players could potentially fuck off hard enough that it's like, oh, we've just gone to a different echelon of existence, so we don't need to worry about any other crap, and then all of a sudden you're left with nothing.
Need to go to a different plane of existence,
which is on the table in D&D.
It is.
So,
but like it would be. I mean, y'all don't have access to that yet.
Yeah.
But
or do we?
You don't, unless I say so.
Well, I was gonna say, for a hot second, I thought going to the island, Sam, was that. Like, I thought we were kind of derailing pretty hard.
No, I have things happening literally everywhere. So no matter what you guys do, you will. It might not be exactly what's happening on the island right now, but something is going on, and you will run into something, like, no matter what you do. And like I said, you guys are allowed to go and do these things, specifically because I have things planned for whatever you guys do. And the fronts help with that, because I mean, I'm not using like an actual system. I just write down what I like. All right, so it's this week. Nobody's done anything over here, so this is how this progresses, and that's basically how it works for me.
Right, it's like almost sandboxy, but like the clock is still ticking on in the background, so you're like,
so like I will have some kind of thing prepared, whether or not it's like a major event, a minor event, or possibly just, oh hey, there was a parade going on. Something is available to you. So I don't think that you guys are derailing, because y'all are discovering information regardless, because of the way that I've picked and choose how to do these like particular things. Now, because there is a second party going around and doing things, if you go to a place that they just went to, maybe I won't have things for you except for that parade. But y'all have very different objectives because of just the way that you have been treating the game. The newer players being like, okay, so we've discovered this thing and we have to go do this thing, and then they're like, we're gonna roleplay for 3 sessions straight, and I was like, that's fine, that's on you. And if you're wondering how I keep y'all in line, travel time is a wonderful thing. But,
yeah, to a point.
I mean, I will literally just skip travel if I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be for a month.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, having a game where cars are a thing, and it's not Avernus, where the map is just, I don't know what it is, whatever the fuck it is, whatever you want it to be, who cares? Because I have California as my map.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse, because it's like, I can expedite things. Oh shit, I don't really have the next area planned. Oh fuck, fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Sam's point about travel time was less about, literally, it takes however long to get to a place, and more about the point that he can have a control over the game clock via travel time, and how fast or slow things are occurring by using travel time to sort of control pace a little.
Yeah, I know what he's saying. It's funny because I have a different situation that is like hindering, but also not. It's a I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I know. I understand. It's like it's the difference between we're sitting on a boat and we are, you know, at the mercy of the wind essentially, whereas cargo burr.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
Or a bridge, you know, got destroyed, and you know you can either take the long way or you can wait for it to be repaired, like stuff like that. Like there are ways for me to have a little bit more control over how long you guys take to get to a thing, because like let's be real, unless you are going on another mini adventure, you're not going to be in a location for longer than maybe a week.
Right.
Because I think the general takeaway on that whole thing is that tracking time passing in your campaign is a very helpful tool, and having things go on at a reasonable pace because you know exactly how many days have passed and so on and so forth is a good way to kind of control the things have gotten out of hand problem. And it's funny because even old Daddy Gygax way back in the Dizzy knew that, because he said you can't have a good D&D campaign without tracking time.
And it's unfortunate that is the way that it is, but it do be that way.
I mean, I'm sure there's some games where you can like sort of stress it less, but it is generally very helpful to sort of be like, I mean, 4 days have passed, things need to go on. And even if you don't track it specifically, if you're just like, a chunk of time has passed that it is long enough that these things would have happened. You know, it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to measure it in like days or whatever, but you could be like, it's been about a week, so this probably would have gone on kind of thing. But just having an idea that like the shit is moving in the background is a good way to deal with the potential derailment.
I specifically go by week, because it's easier than tracking it by day. Plus y'all have your school stuff, so like capstoning a week and then be like, all right, this is what happens here at the end of this week, blah 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 blah. But like, yeah, there are certain campaigns where it probably won't be as relevant, like doing Dungeon of the Mad Mage. You keep a vague like idea of how much time has passed, but in reality you don't really need to all that much because it's gonna happen mostly in the dungeon. So
yeah, like only for like unless you're doing the thing of like, you know, we gotta keep track of our food and rations, and it's like, shit, we're running out of rations. How many days has it been? Oh god, that type of deal. You're like tracking food, which is very strange because I'm gonna have to switch.
You kind of should if you're doing a mega dungeon scenario, because that's a part of the tension of the dungeon.
Right, which it's going to be weird because I'm doing the Strixhaven into Mad Mage thing. Strixhaven is very much more of an episodic type of campaign where it's like
you're not going.
Time passes.
You wouldn't track rations in that.
Yeah, and then going into Mad Mage is very much different tonal kind of shift. So it's going to be interesting seeing like the change from like more loosey-goosey and like, a week goes by, I don't know, 3 weeks goes by, you guys are doing your shit, and then to Mad Mage where it's like, all right, so it's literally been 2 days, and you guys fell into a vat of acid, and now we're here.
Wow. A vat of acid, huh?
I don't know.
Impressive.
It was in the middle of the room. I don't know how they fell into it. They just did.
They just did.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened.
That particular with that particular example, you know, just once the tone shift happens, just, you know, that's the kind of thing where you sit down and go, all right, players, there is a delineation here between campaign A and campaign B. Things are going to be a little different now, so concern yourselves and think about different problems.
Yeah, I mean so that's a good segue into like the next sort of question that I was going to ask, which is, or I guess that I have asked, right? Like, when these things happen, like if they happen, when they happen, you know, it's sort of relevant. But in the scenario, do you try to fight it back to what you want it to be, or do you go, all right, well, we're just flying by the seat of our pants now, baby. Like whatever happens, happens. Or are you just like, this is not this is not what I want to do. This is not what I'm feeling anymore. I'd rather start from scratch with something new and see if it doesn't repeat.
I'm about to give the most Matt answer I can. It's a little column A, a little column B.
I'm gonna fuck you up.
Okay, so here's my thing with this situation, and I feel bad. I kind of feel bad because I feel like I like cannot meaningfully give anything helpful here, but I have this is gonna sound crazy because I've been playing seriously at this point for 8 years maybe ish, and I have never really run into a situation where my players have genuinely like fucked the rails so hard that they're like flying into a different dimension, and now we're in Alaska and we started in Texas. Like, I have really legitimately never had that problem. I've had the stuff like Sam was talking about where it's like, all right, we're gonna talk to this guard for an hour because I fucking feel like it. And like, I had also in the Stars Without Number game, I had let's abduct the strippers and make them, or let's abduct the strippers and make them the strippers at our church, right? I've had those sorts of things happen, but I've never had major like derailment, we're in a different fucking dimension of nonsense problem. But all that being said, what I have had is self-inflicted derailment is the only way I can really put it. I have almost every single time started a campaign with concept A, started out on concept A, and then landed on concept A point B, and then sort of kind of got a concept C by the end. And I don't know what my issue is, and I don't know how I keep managing this, but I am hilariously bad at keeping the campaign idea that I had in my head, keeping on task. I always end up going in weird directions or doing a side thing that I think will be quick and doesn't end up being quick, or like making an NPC, like you did, Isaiah, way more important than they should be. And in those situations, I still don't really have a good method for fixing it. My current method is just, okay, I'm going to finish the thing we're doing right now because I don't want to just awkwardly jar the players and jump to something without finishing the current thing. And then once we finish the current thing, even though I don't really care about this and don't want to finish it, I'm going to bring it to a conclusion. And then once we bring it to a conclusion, I'm going to try and make sure the next thing pushes us back hard in the direction that I originally intended. And, that's worked in varying degrees, I'm gonna be honest. Because, like, that Stars Without Number campaign was a really bad example of me doing this, because the original premise was my players were running a crazy space cult, and they wanted to go around the sector collecting weird alien artifacts. And I was like, cool, down for that idea. I wasn't super down for the cult part, but I was down for the collecting alien artifacts.
I mean, the cult was just a vehicle to get a vehicle.
Yeah. And then, for some, I don't understand what the fuck I was thinking. For some, this shit, it pisses me off thinking about it. I'm like regressing into stupid here. For some godforsaken reason, I decided that in the very beginning, the first artifact that they were trying to get, the very first like MacGuffin, was stolen. And now you might say, okay, well, that's not a big deal. It's to sort of get the MacGuffin back from the guy who stole it plotline. Sure, yeah. However, the guy who stole it, I decided, was 5 planets away. So, getting to said dude was a fucking saga. And it was like, I mean, it must have been 15 sessions of that shit.
It was most of the game.
Yeah. And I just completely fucked the whole premise. But I dug the trench so deep that I had no clue how to get out of it at a certain point. So I just tried to truncate it as much as I could, but it was still a lot.
So like to give like a quick rundown of basically what happened.
Yeah, I mean, you could give it from the player side.
It was several sectors away. We're like, okay, that's easy. We have a ship.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 planets.
Except our engine wasn't good enough to do the jump.
Make the jump.
So we had to basically book a flight.
Yeah, they had to book a flight with someone else.
And then we end up being on this like big military freighter thing, and then they get attacked. So we spend a session doing space combat, and then after that, we finally get to the place, and then we enroll in school.
I don't remember. I remember the school thing, but I don't remember why that was there. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, it's because he worked at the school. He was part of the school. That's why.
Was that what? Why the fuck
did I?
Yeah. Jesus, why did I do any of that?
I'm
not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I'm a little blindsided. I feel like.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing.
As a player, I was like, okay, but like, so here's the thing. While we're going to school, we're also told, hey, I'll do this favor for you to help you do the thing that you want to do, but you gotta hit a casino for me.
Yeah.
And that's where the space strippers come in.
Yeah, so it's worth pointing out here, too, another thing that Sam didn't mention that also added to the sort of comedy of errors of the situation was that, space travel in Stars Without Number is not Star Wars style, which is to say, hyperspace is very, very fast. No. Stars Without Number is essentially an Age of Sail game, but with spaceships. So to travel from planet to planet takes several days. So like to jump to neighboring planets, you have to the game tells you. It takes a day or two to fly from the planet to the edge of the planet's gravitational pull. Then you spike jump from the edge to the other planet, and then you have to fly from the edge of the new planet's gravitational pull to go to the planet itself and land. So it was getting from planet A to planet B, if they are right next to each other, because there's a hex map and stuff that you make before you start the campaign. Getting from 2 planets that are right next to each other is like a 4-day affair. And they had to jump several planets. So it just became a crazy fucking Lord of the Rings ass journey. And again, I don't really know what my train of thought was. I don't remember why I thought this was an idea. The space combat I don't regret, because I did want to do a little space combat, and I was like, this will be fun, whatever. But yeah, it's just I derailed my own fucking campaign into complete catastrophe. And then, again, more recently, since I have 2 players here and it's fresh on the mind, I did the same thing. And I didn't really know how to
I
fix the problem.
I felt it a little bit, which is, I
like, again, because my premise for my most recent campaign, which, I've talked about a bunch on here, is, the players are in this little haven, this little bastion of society left in a giant, like, apocalyptic island. And my idea for the campaign was the city is the safe space, and the adventuring is you have to go out into the shitty no-no land. But then, for some fucking reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to give them, like, 3 or 4 quests that related specifically to the city and did not require them to leave it in any form, and that was, like, the main focus for a while. And then so my players got a different idea of what was going on, and I had a different... I don't have a good method to underail things because I keep doing it to myself.
You see, let me be clear. This was not a call out for you because I know you were the one who was hit by this most recently. But I figured we were all sort of at a crux at our respective games, and it may have been something that we were thinking about.
Yeah. So. No, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, it could even be a call out. I don't really give a shit at this point because I don't. I don't know what my I don't know. It's like, I think the problem is that I want my games to have a sort of Star Trekian episodic thing going on where it's like, one episode we're talking about Data, the next episode's about Worf and the Klingons, the next episode's about Captain Kirk banging bitches. I don't know, whatever. I've never really watched Star Trek, so
some of that was right.
Yeah, no, I know. It occurred to me as I was saying it, Worf and Data are not from the same series as Captain Kirk, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
I know.
But
it's fine.
When does Patrick Stewart do the meme where he's pointing at the screen?
Here, better one. William T. Riker's gonna go bang a bunch of alien women. Anyway, doesn't matter.
There you go. He reeled it back.
I reeled it back.
Corrected it. He saved it.
He didn't grow that beard for no goddamn reason.
So it's
we're stealing someone's joke, but I don't care. It's funny.
It's one of those things where I think I want my game to have that feel sometimes, and D&D don't do that vibe, and a lot of games I play don't do that vibe, and I need to recognize that situation. It's like you can't do Supernatural with a Lord of the Rings style narrative, right? Like A does not work with B here. Mm-hmm. So I end up having these ideas that would be fine as little episodic notes, but then I have to try and bring them back to the main thing, and that makes them go on for way longer. Because, in Supernatural and Star Trek, right? Shit like that. The end of the episode, in the next episode, you just are doing the new thing immediately. Yeah. You don't need to worry about what happened in between. But in something like D&D, you kind of do. Mm-hmm. And that gets things in a way, like, you do and you don't.
Yeah, the big thing that I've noticed, like, for episodic stuff is you don't really have to worry about travel when you're watching an episode of Star Trek.
You don't care how long it takes Enterprise to go from A to B. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just there.
They're just there.
Like, we might have 2 or 3 episodes that say, okay, so here's the story for this, like a special or whatever. And then, like, it's done, they move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
D&D is like if
D&D cares about that in between a little bit more.
A little bit more. So, like,
and a lot of games do. That's the thing, is a lot of games care about that in between situation.
You know what game doesn't care, Josh?
What?
That one Cyberpunk game that we played.
True, yes, the Sprawl does not. The Sprawl is very episodic based, and that is the thing, right? Is some games do. Apocalypse World, you can also kind of do in an episodic sense, because there's no mechanics in Apocalypse World that require super tight time tracking, right? There's nothing measured in like hours or days. So there are games where you could do it, but yeah.
Oh wait, everybody take a shot. Josh brought up Apocalypse World.
Oh damn!
I've already been drinking.
Here I am without my alcohol.
Sorry, I just I just stopped talking for a second because I hit disconnect on Discord like a dumbass for a hot second there. That was impressive.
God, we're all over the place today.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know. I don't really have anywhere I'm going with this. My derailment problem is very self-inflicted. So I don't know. Maybe one of y'all could fucking correct me. I don't know.
Matt, we haven't heard from you much, and I'm quite curious because I know
Matt's
your
a perfect
players,
angel. He doesn't do anything wrong.
I mean, maybe, but Matt, your players have a habit of not throwing curveballs at you, but
no, I would call them curveballs.
Yeah, they throw curveballs at you from time to time.
Yeah, I like to joke that I have 3 of my players are derailers, and not because they like purposely derail. They just do things. It just happens to be anything but what I was thinking was going to happen in the session.
Like, calling for a kumbaya circle and then plane ship everybody.
No, so the problem with that is, if you remember, I don't remember what episode we talked about that. I knew it was
2.
Yeah. No, it was longer than that.
No, it was not. It was like episode 2 or 3.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant like 2 episodes ago. But like,
no.
Yeah. But like, I knew it was going to happen. The issue was I didn't think he was going to do it this session right afterward. Yeah, that was where I was like, fuck. Because I specifically told him, I'm like, hey man, all right, we'll do the plane shift thing. Just give me a session or 2 to plan things. because we're in the middle of the monk stuff. We're literally at his monastery. We're going to do his character arc, and then we'll do yours. And then Joe was like, but what if he didn't, though?
Yeah, your players just have very, like, chaotic.
A little bit. But kind of going back to what I said was like a little comment, a little company. So, and I keep saying this, like, I outline and bullet point a lot of shit in my, like, prep. So I leave a lot of space in between.
So do I, Matt. So do I.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I leave a lot of space in between the bullet points where I'm like, something might happen, but I let that space exist because the characters are going to decide what happens, and they're the ones who are driving, and I'm the one sitting there being like, okay, so I know we're driving from A to B, and there's going to be all these crazy detours and all this stuff in the way. By the end of it, we're going to get to B no matter what. It's fine. How we get there? I don't know, driver. That's up to you. So there's a part of me that's like, I plan out where we're going. I have the vision in head, but I let the chaos demons take the wheel, and I see what happens, and I see what the players latch onto, and I take notes during the game. And if shit gets derailed, it's not really getting derailed because as DMs, like, you know, without being like, it's not even railroady. It's the idea of like, we're doing a narrative or a story with our players, with our party. It's a group storytelling game. And so it's like, yeah, I kind of know where we're going. I just don't know how to get there. That's where the players come in. And the players are going to go left, right, and center and fucking all over the place. But I know at the end of the day, we're going to hit B. It's fine. So whatever detours and nonsense happens, it's going to happen. So I kind of just let it and enjoy the ride and watch it.
Yeah, again, you know, that's all well and good, Matt, and I do the same thing, but doesn't seem to work.
So it seems like, Matt, what you're saying is that you. It seems like what you're saying, and I could be wrong, is that you will figure out, no matter how crazy the derail gets, how to bring it back to like the end goal, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You are what you specialize in is just moving the goalpost and being like, yes, it was your idea the whole time.
Yes, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I can move the goalpost. Sometimes I will just kind of like nudge the shit out of the road to like detour it back to where it was supposed to go. But yeah. Like one of the examples I could give, holy shit, is my players they infiltrated a thieves guild, and they had to save an NPC. The thieves guild had a wizard with them that was going to just kind of teleport with the NPC out, and I let the players fuck up the teleport. The problem was I wasn't sure how they were going to do it, and it ended up resulting in a lot of the NPCs, a lot of the bad guys getting teleported all over my map, quote unquote. And so it ended up turning out into, which I didn't plan at all. I didn't know like how they were gonna, I was like, they could stop it. But I forgot how they fucked with the spell where it was like runes on the ground, and one player cast the spell to try and like destroy the runes, or they tried to stab at the runes, or did something weird. And there's like a table for that kind of stuff I found online. This is like going back a while ago, so I'm paraphrasing and abbreviating a lot of stuff, so I apologize. But they fucked with the spell. A lot of NPCs went all over the place, and it became this cool moment of the players going, oh shit, we don't know where they are. So they used all their resources and spells and scrying and shit to find where the thieves were, where their NPC friend is, and try and meet them halfway before they get back to the hideouts to try and save their friend. And that was all like, I didn't plan that. I didn't plan for them to do that. I was just like, oh, they could probably just end the spell and the spell won't go off. I didn't expect for them to not only have like fuck with the spell so badly that a lot of people would get teleported, and then said people would get teleported all over my map. And now it's like, all right, well, this guy's like 3 fucking towns away. That's going to be like a bunch of days travel. And the player's only like 2 days away. So they'll have a whole day like journey ahead. And they could just plan an attack. Fuck it. And save their friend.
See. Okay.
Yeah. So let the chaos, demons drive the car for a bit. But just know at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, don't worry. We're gonna get to where our destination is. It's fine.
Basically,
Yeah.
Matt just is gonna railroad him back into submission anyway. So what Matt's saying is he's got big dom energy.
All right, look, I know you can't, you have no idea what Matt looks like, but if Matt were ever a dom, I don't know. I would just.
I know what Matt looks like. What?
Not, I'm talking to our listeners.
Or to your listeners.
I don't know.
My dude. My guy.
Fuck. Just, if you just look at a person at a random like anime convention, that's me. That's why I look.
It sans the smell.
Yes, I shower though.
I was
we
gonna
shower
say,
at conventions, guys. God damn. Not at the convention, but shower before the convention. Please.
I was gonna say a more like a rock star version of the final season of the actor who does Samuel Tarly in Game of Thrones.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah.
He's pretty good, right?
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, watch Game of Thrones.
It's fun. Either way, Matt, I could never see you as a dom. I don't know. You
Doms
look
as
like
players.
and he looks like he's what oh God, how do I describe this?
Yeah.
A teddy bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, teddy bear. I mean, I was
Teddy
going
bear that
for
wears
the
combat boots.
More pushing for the cushion, baby.
I was more thinking of
I do not
I just
mean
fucked that up so bad. Goddamn.
Do not
Only had one drink.
bud.
Oops.
I was more just thinking of you look like you're so friendly that I don't know. Seeing you as a dom is just weird. You're also like the least aggressive person I've ever met. I have heard you get mad once.
Well, again, this is my.
And it was at me,
by
bada
day.
bing.
But mild mannered Matt. By night, Percy Glaxon, Dommy Mommy.
Very true. Very true.
Oh fuck.
Oh my god, the joke makes a fucking triumphant comeback. It's been like 5 episodes we've brought
been a
up
while.
Percy
Been more
Glaxon.
than that.
I can't just make him a wizard or a sorcerer or any of this nonsense. It doesn't make sense.
Oh my god.
Fighter, maybe. Glax specialist.
Oh my lord.
Specialist.
You've got to
Yeah.
be an assassin, rogue, gunslinger, fighter.
There we go.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's my 2 cents on losing
see.
control, I guess, of your games.
I mean, it really just comes down to, do you really care if your players derail as long as you can nudge them back on path? That's what it feels like coming from Matt. Because like I said, like I don't feel like you guys doing what you're doing in the Friday game is derailment, because I accounted for you going places, and like it's gonna happen. It's not technically derailment.
I don't know. I don't know what the hell Isaiah is talking about, because I thought the thing we're currently doing was the thing you specifically wanted us to do.
I mean, it was one of many things that I wanted you to do. That's the thing. Like, I have... It's kind of like a... Oh, God. It's like a visual novel. And you guys just use the right dialogue options to get the specific path unlocked. That being said, like, there were things that I told you guys about, and then in particular, like, Isaiah's character is a changeling, and in my setting, changelings aren't, 1, very common, and 2, they've only been around for a couple 1,000 years, and everything about them is odd, especially their origin, because it's not known at all. and they're not like it's not genetic either. It just happens randomly.
You're genetic.
Yeah.
What?
But I only know half of my genetics. Anyways.
Oh my god.
Anyways, so Isaiah's character found like a bunch of books and found the author was in a certain spot and wanted to meet them so he could learn more about himself. Players know this, characters don't know this, but that was the big push for going to this location. And because I've had fronts going on in the background and accounted for basically like I know that I've literally not talked about the giant dwarf colony industrial land off in the distance like at all in game, but like if y'all were like, hey yo, I want to go there, I'd be like, okay, and I'd have stuff for you. But you know, this is the thing that you as players decided to look into and then found stuff about and then further went on, and I have plot stuff everywhere. So yeah, right. Not necessarily derailment, not necessarily exactly what I wanted you to do, because you'll get the information either way. You know. That being said, when you guys are like, all right, this is the thing I'm going to do, I then do more prep in that scenario, because like upfront is just this is what happens. But when you're like, oh, I'm going to go here, then I'm like, okay, so this encounter, this person, this person, this person, this person, this thing, you know. Okay. A little more in depth than
very technical description right there. This counter, this thing, this thing, and this thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not about to break out a whiteboard
this time
to show you guys. Look, there might, maybe.
Embrace the power of the.
I always embrace the power of the board. I'm the one that actually owns a whiteboard.
That was more of just to the.
I mean,
everyone should get a whiteboard.
Everybody should get a whiteboard.
I got a whiteboard.
I don't really have a spot for a whiteboard. Yes.
Just got like one of the little like small ones, like the like book size.
Yeah, you're book sized.
Thanks.
Oh my fucking lord! All right, so I had a sort of inverse to this question.
Oh.
And that inverse is: have you ever felt like the campaign was going off the rails as a player? And if you did you try to manipulate things within your power as a player to try to push them back on track? Or were you like, let chaos reign, we're gonna blow this shit the fuck up? Just fucking slam a line of speed, jump in the infernal engine with some fucking dynamite strapped to the back of it. I don't know what that analogy was.
It was it was a thing. I haven't been a player that much, so like I'm trying to I don't know that I have felt like a campaign was going specifically off the rails, but I do generally, as a player, embrace the chaos gods and let it rock. So even if I did feel like things were getting hilariously off the rails, as long as everyone's still vibing, I probably wouldn't do anything to try and change it. I would probably just let it happen. I'm trying to think of any, even if there's been any like micro examples, but nothing's hitting at the moment.
Yeah, same. I don't like, even with the other campaign, like between the ones that I'm in with you guys, or Storm King's Thunder, or even with Icewind Dale, like I never tried to like, as the player, push the narrative back on track. With Icewind Dale, it was a little weird, because with that game I wasn't sure exactly where the track was most of the time.
I mean,
so I wasn't sure like where to nudge, but I know what I mean. You know, the other players were like, I think we're supposed to do this thing. Yeah, sure.
If a game were going off the rails, and I'm sitting in the player's seat, and I'm getting the impression that the going off the rail, like the direction the rails are now going, is shitting on some people's times, then I might try to nudge things back, like in character. But at a certain point, it stops becoming an in-character thing and has to become a talk as human beings situation, you know? Like, you know, you can't, like, okay, this isn't exactly how it went down, but it's kind of what happened, so to use it as an example, right? The most recent arc that we just finished up in my game, everyone was pretty much not vibing, like, by the end, you know, the last 2-3 sessions, everyone's like, all right, what the fuck are we doing here? Why are we still on this? There is really, and if it was a situation where you guys were like, if you felt like genuinely we are just having a fucking shit one every time we go to sit down, there would be no amount of in-character shit you could do in that particular scenario. You weren't even playing your normal characters, so there's no amount of in-character work you could have done to try and fix it. So that becomes a situation of like, hey GM, or me in this case, what the fuck, you know? So yeah, like there's a fun, but if it's the kind of thing where it's just like one player or one character was like doing a goofy thing on the side and then you in character can redirect them, then yeah, sure, you could do that a little bit, but I can't think of any particular obvious examples that I've run into that.
Okay.
Probably has been one.
Well, because I asked, because I have run into the situation before where I was playing in a game and the original conceit was pretty simple, you know, like, and I really liked it too. Like, it was pretty simple. It was a pretty simple war story of like Magitech versus magic. And there was like an undertone of like some dragon stuff going on in the background. And, you know, I love me some dragons.
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 Dragons Ligma.
Oh my god.
The wind is pushing me.
Oh my god, please. Sir.
I am the Dangan.
I hate you.
Someone
So,
should
yeah,
just take away all of his dragon dogma, everything.
That's it. Your Dragon's Dogma privileges. I'm taking them away.
No more Ligma for you.
You will never be the Dangan. So yeah, it was this thing where like everybody was vibing with it. It was a great time, and it just like it sort of became too big. Right? It was a castle built on shaky foundations, and eventually it just felt like the whole fucking thing was starting to crumble out from underneath it. Like, you know, it became about like, I don't even know how to sit. It got to a point where we spent about 8 sessions in a town. I'm being particularly vague just because this game ended
Rough.
in a nuclear, like it was like some Castle Bravo level nuclear. Okay, it was bad, but also it just like the party and like the friend group kind of dissolved, and it just wasn't a bit of a nightmare.
Harsh tokes.
Yeah, but it felt like we all lost the plot, or like some players were like, yes, this is what the game is about. It's about hunting dragons. And then people were like, no, this is like a war story. And then it's like, no, this is like, you know, we're searching for like the souls, like the weapons to kill a god. And we were like, what is actually happening right now? Because I'm kind of confused. And I would try to like help and push the players in like a direction, because I could tell what the GM was like trying to do, but maybe put too much on the table at once and everyone just grabbed their piece. But yeah, there was only so much I could do, and I was just like, we've lost it. We've lost the plot. It's GG. No re. You did not pass collect. You did not pass go. You did not collect $200. Just, it felt bad, man. So like, you know, I'm wondering if anyone else had a similar situation that I did.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, that particular example sounds like to me there's no solving this in game anymore. Need to talk as human beings now.
Yeah, it probably was, but at the time I just was like, this was like while we were in school. Like this was right before. This is right before COVID. Yeah. We were playing, like, we had gone on a like 2-week hiatus right around where COVID started. So it just became a bit of a clusterfuck, as most things at that time did. But if it's just me, I guess I'll just go fuck myself.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, sorry,
Do
but
you have any stories of that ilk? Or close?
No, the only real story about derailing I have is Celtic Folk Horse.
God damn it. Can't believe you've done this to me.
I can. Because I just did it right there. It was so easy. And it did a fuck ton of damage.
It did.
I mean,
it really did.
I mean, follow up, you know, if that were to happen, what would your response be, perhaps, is the question then in this case?
Yeah, I mean, that yeah.
Sam and Donut.
Like, at what point, I guess, would be what would be your fuck it factor, right? When would you be like, this is not going to work in character, this is something that we need to, like, discuss, or it's going to self-destruct?
I mean, no, so I've never had it get to a point where the derailment is so bad that I have to have a discussion with the players, because I've never really felt like I've lost complete control, I guess, of what people's expectations were. But like, I've had situations where players have just started not telling me that they're not going to show up to session, and that's literally the only time I've been like, "Hey, we need to have a talk."
Yeah, that's not even derailment at that point. That's all.
That's just completely different. So like, I mean, approaching the situation is quite literally, hey, we need to have a conversation about X, Y, and Z because, you know, it's gotten out of hand, or, you know, you all have this expectation, but that's not where I want this to go. And, you know, words would be exchanged, obviously, but like, it's either I'm going to start pushing the campaign in the direction that I originally intended, we can continue this, and I just have to deal with it. And by deal with it, I mean, I'm probably still having fun, but like, it's not exactly what I wanted. I just have to shift gears. Or we reset. Smile.
Yeah, well, so yes, that. But I meant like, I don't like cutting people off, especially when they like kind of go off. But like, as a player, what would be your limits? Like, what would be your? You have to bring up to the GM, like, I don't know if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing anymore. What's going on, bud?
When I can feel it directly in the DM, being like, this isn't what we expected, or we've done such a large shift that I'm like, and we're not even in the end game kind of large shift, and it just, you know, what's going on? Why did we go from fighting that dragon to running an orphanage? Then I'd be like, hey bud, what's going on? Because, like, you know, yeah.
I see.
yeah.
I don't know. I've just never had that happen.
Same.
Specifically to me as a player.
Yeah, no, it's really hard. Like, I've never been in this situation before, so I guess the only thing that would be like, if the derailment is making me not have fun as a player. I guess that's the thing. If I'm not having fun in the game anymore, if I talk to some of the other players and we're like, hey, none of us are having fun, if we sit down, pull the DM aside, everybody in the group talks, like, you know, again, people talk to each other. Fuck. Like, I don't know. I guess that's the only thing I could think of. But like, again, as players, or I feel like as a DM, I feel like we should at least try and do somewhat of a good job of like not being able to kind of show the derailment unless like shit's hit the fan so fucking badly. That's part of the, like, you know, the whole like, I joke with my players like, oh, the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain, don't look.
Well,
you know,
it's not just about showing it necessarily, though. Like, you may be able to hide the derailment, but if you're not enjoying the derailment, it doesn't matter how much you're hiding it. You gotta acknowledge it.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if it's that much of a detriment that you're not having fun anymore as a DM, but Isaiah's question was more towards like players. Like, like if the players are noticing shit's hitting the fan, that we're all so far off the rails. Like we were in Rise of Tiamat, and now we're dealing with like now we somehow ended up in Icewind Dale. Hey Greg, what's going on, man? What happened? Where's the dragons? We've been fighting nothing but ice elementals for like the last like 10 sessions. Where's the dragons, dude?
Dragon?
It's funny. I had a thought. This kind of extends to fucking Storm King's Thunder, doesn't it? Right? Or it's just like, did the module lose the plot?
Yes. Yes, it did.
No. Are you talking about my game or just in general with the
just in general.
No, that module.
It seems like, and I've looked at Storm King's Thunder very, very, very vaguely, so I can be just completely off base here. But it seems like the main consensus for Storm King's Thunder is like, first few sessions, oh my god, like this is awesome, this makes sense, I can't wait to see what happens next, and then it hits a point where we're like, wait, what's going on?
I think the funny thing about Storm King's Thunder is not so much that it lost the plot, it just takes a really long time for it to find its plot. So a lot of the stuff you're doing in the beginning might be interesting, but isn't actually the plot in a weird way.
And if you do the 1 to 3 mini adventure at the beginning, they're like, "Hey, you want this plot? All right, here's a cloud giant guy that just said hi, hello, I'm a wizard.
Yeah,
How
he
are
just
you?"
vibes up.
And you're just like, "Oh, hey,
What's up, Steve? How you doing?"
how you doing?"
Yeah.
It's so weird because I didn't do that at all, and like.
Oh yeah,
I've been enjoying Storm King's Thunder, but like, yeah, from literally everyone I've heard, like you guys talking about it, a lot of people like you watch YouTube videos where people talk about Storm King's Thunder, and everyone says just like, don't do it, don't play the beginning bit, just do something else. And I'm so thankful that like my group, we did Lost Mines of Fendelver, because then we had that character bond, level 1 to 5, everything's good, and then we went to Tribor, and then fucking fire giants, and we're like, oh no. We're like, this is where the giants come in. Shit.
Yeah. It's yeah, that's a weird one. I mean, that's like that is an interesting subset of this particular issue, topic, whatever. Is that derailing from a homebrew campaign is one thing, right? Because your GM might have had an idea, but a lot of GMs kind of do what Matt did, and they're like, well, we'll get back around to the thing. Like, it's fine. I still am sort of on task with what I want. Players are dicking around in column A, but we're gonna get back to column C. It's fine. But when you're talking about pre-written adventures, derailing a pre-written adventure is almost like its own thing, its whole own problem to contend with. Because, not only does a pre-written adventure assume you're going to follow a certain path to get to your goal, it also kind of assumes you're going to do it a certain way and with a certain pace. Like, there's things that are more tightly laid out. So derailing a pre-written adventure can be even more egregious and frustrating of a situation on a DM side if your players are just, fucking off. Or it could be a really frustrating situation on a player side of things if your GM is just like ignoring the module. Like you're like, hey, GM, so we're playing Descent into Avernus, and I can't help but notice that we haven't gone to Avernus in 25 sessions. What's going on
like
there,
a hell in my hell here, bud.
Yeah, there seems to be a lack of hell here.
He's like, it's called Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, we spent
like
25.
Yeah, but what about the rest of the title?
Yeah.
What about the rest? No, only Baldur's Gate here.
Yeah, so it's like,
oh my god.
So it's like. That is an interesting subset of this whole concept, right? Because that is a harder problem to fix. That is a more difficult issue to contend with when you have to look at a pre-written situation and go, all right, how am I, if I'm a GM, how am I going to rear my players back towards the pre-written plot line because I still want to do this? Or if I'm a player, how do I tell my GM, hey, I want to go fight Zariel, you dickhead? You know, like, yeah. I don't really have a good idea, good like commentary on it, but it's definitely interesting that the pre-written problem is slightly different than your usual type of issues.
I just now think of like you telling the GM like, look, I just want to fight Zariel, and you walk into the Elf Song Tavern, she's just sitting down having a coffee,
vibing. Yeah, you're like,
chicken feet all out and shit. Still got a flaming halo on her bald ass head, and you're like,
okay.
Is anyone gonna? And they're just everyone's just like at the corner of the room,
cowering in the corner. Yeah,
they're like a cat, just like stuck to the ceiling in the corner. You're just like, okay.
You're like, who served her the coffee? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have any further point there, but I just thought that was kind of an interesting little to be like, oh yeah, adventures are kind of like their own little issue. Yeah, I guess that's true a lot of the time, though, huh?
Yes.
Pre-written adventures present unique problems often.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. It's almost like we did an entire episode on that.
I mean, yes, but it is worth noting that I think we said something to that degree, but we didn't really go into it, I don't think, about like how pre-writtens are different and like how the vibe is just a full fucking 180.
The vibe is in shambles.
The vibe is in shambles.
Then from like a home game, or
I think that vibe is more. It's also because the setting isn't unique to the DM, because having a homebrew setting is way different than being like we're in the Forgotten Realms or we're in Eberron.
Very.
Like it's very different, you know, because at least from running it perspective like that, it's just I don't have to worry about the inaccuracies and someone going, well, actually, you forgot that the yawning portal is over here and nowhere near Eltral.
You see, actually, that Jedi would never use a yellow lightsaber. He's a consular, all right? I don't.
Oh God!
Oh my God! That's where you have to hit them with the fuck you, A-list Kurt had a red lightsaber for a while.
Nah, that's where you Isaiah. You don't even go that far. You just turn around them, you look them straight in the eyes and say Ligma Sugma Fugma.
Yes, you do. You hit with the Ligma Sugma Fugma. Well, here's that. You have to do both, right? When they hit you with the deep lore, you have to hit them with the deeper lore, and then you have to hit them with the Ligma Sugma Fugma. I do not like to actually or rules layer people, but I have been in games where it was a player that I was with who was acting up, and he was like, "This isn't what this," and I was like, "All right, first of all, you're wrong. Second of all,
you're wrong.
Here's why. Third of all, Ligma." It was very funny. We were talking about we were talking about something like Forgotten Realms related. I think it was about the weave, and yeah, it was a good time. Oh, excuse me, yawning.
Yawning portal.
Yeah, the yawning portal, the place that's definitely in like Eberron. Yeah.
it could be. Who cares?
Isaiah, Do you have a direction you're about to go in? Because I noticed one of the notes you jotted down. Interesting note.
Oh, I mean, it was for sort of any of us. So if you want to bring something up.
Yeah, well, so you mentioned you jotted down. Do you usually run games with a more firm concept or feel, or do you prefer to mold said feel around a base concept or a direction chosen by the player's whim? I think I'm particularly interested. What? I'm interested to hear everyone on that one. Like, yeah, what do you have a very firm like, this is the vibe and it shall not be shambled, or is it like you kind of feel it out early on and then go in whatever direction it seems to be the players are feeling?
Well, go on, Sam.
Whatever.
Yeah, okay. I feel like I kind of made this point already with the whole, I have things prepared in either direction. I have a idea of what is going to happen, but the vibe just ends up being wherever y'all go. Whatever y'all do. Like, it's not, I want this. I mean, I feel like there are times where I'm like, yeah, maybe I should have done like a little bit more controlled for this area, or, done more for this specific vibe over here. But like, I never go into it with, okay, so this is going to be a fantasy horror game, and everybody is going to have a horrible time, unless it's like a pre-written adventure where it's like, this is the vibe I'm getting from this, So, yeah, no, I just because I have the way that I've evolved my running style, I don't feel like I have to stick to a particular vibe. Except for when you are in a specific location.
Okay. I mean, I think I'm pretty simple in this end because I've only run one game, and the game was built to do the latter, right? To be like the post-apocalypse Borderlands-y 40K Tron-ish setting is just that, right? It's a setting with shit to do in it. So as long as you do that shit, then, like, and it doesn't even have to be the stuff that I do, but just like, there is stuff to do here. If you make your own stuff to do, that's cool. If you want to do the stuff that I made, that's also cool. So I think that I am probably a bad case study in this instance. Which is to say, I might just be far too accommodating to my players.
I mean, that was kind of how we started the whole discussion. Arguably over accommodating, yeah. Yeah.
Matt,
what do you? Where
you're not gonna like my answer.
I swear
it's the same one I'm gonna keep giving. It's both.
No,
it's
Matt,
like,
you're not legally allowed. Extrapolate now.
That's unfortunate. So like the way I run, like the way I run or ran my campaign was I had, like, if you want to say arcs, or I would do different adventures, and each one would be a different theme. Like, I had my players go to an ice, island place, and then we did a bunch of winter adventures. We did a bunch of jungle adventures. We did a whole Underdark adventure. So each adventure or arc that I ran for the players had a different tone and vibe and theme and everything. And only certain, like, I don't want to say story bits or certain events or character moments,
beats,
I had the firm grasp of this needs to happen.
You had certain story beats that you knew you were going to hit.
Yeah, but other than that, it was if the players are interested in more things, my players, we spent the Underdark bit was only supposed to be for a month. We spent 6 months in the 6 huge actual in-game actual player months in the Underdark, just because of how much my players love being there and love fighting the Drow, because Drow make great villains, and just all the crazy tunnels and caves and caverns and nonsense that is in the Underdark. And mostly also in the city, Menzo Baranzi, all the how people live in the city. I had a whole bazaar there, and that was a whole another kind of random wacky woohoo time, interacting with the different Drow factions and houses and stuff. I had the ideas and again, certain story beats I was firm on, but mostly I just kind of gauged what the players were more interested in, and kind of just went with what they wanted, what they enjoyed. So yeah, both.
I mean, no, I would argue not both, actually. I would argue you're only doing the latter half of going around what the players want to feel. I mean, having beats is not the same. Sure, like everyone has story beats they're gonna hit, but I would argue that what you just described was very much basing your concept around the player's whimsy, more or less.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, I actually, so I sort of agree with Josh on this one. It seems like on a macro level, what you do is the second, but when you get to the nitty gritty, you rely more on the first. Would you agree that that's sort of it?
Yeah, low column A, low column B. That's what I said. Both.
Well, sort of, but like your primary is still whatever we do, whatever you guys want.
Yeah, I would
but
say.
But when they decide what they want to do, that's when you'll be more specific. But I think as a whole, it seems like you
as a whole,
stick more firmly to
B,
the second.
Yeah, as a whole, more column B. Because here's the thing: at the end of the day, everyone is doing a little bit of both at all times. So like that's kind of a that's always on the table. You're always gonna have to do a certain degree of both. But yeah, it seems like you're leaning more heavily on like, we spent 6 months in the Drow Underdark because that's what the players were into. Which is very much the, sort of going by the player's whimsy. All that being said, I guess I'm gonna be the fucking contrarian again. Such is my life, apparently. Because, I very much go into a campaign with, this is the vibe, this is the plan, this is the concept, this is what I want to do. If I do not do this, disappointment. And
then you derail yourself.
Right. That's the irony of it, right? Is I go in with a firm, like, this is what I want the concept to be, this is what I want the feeling to be, these are the points I want to hit. And then I somehow end up in this weird place of missing a lot of those points that I want to hit. And, I don't really know what to make of that. But yeah, I always... Because for me, the idea for a campaign always comes from, I have a vibe I am trying to recreate. Ergo, this is the thing I want to do. I'm only interested in running the campaign if I can have this vibe. So I don't want to adjust the vibe to the whimsy unless the buy-in plan is the vibe is going to go all over the place. Like if I'm planning to have it be like we're going to go in whatever direction and shit's going to change up as we go, if that is part of the plan from the get-go, then that's fine. But generally, I want to stick to a thing. So like, as a quick example, if I'm like, all right, guys, we're sitting down, we're playing a Monster Hunter Witcher campaign. That's the vibe. I do not want to then have several arcs of, frickin' we're going to a different dimension fighting aliens. Not the vibe I was looking for. We're not doing that. Not on the table. So... yeah, I'm very... I don't know how to put it. And like, I don't know, maybe players don't like how I am with that sometimes, but it's one of those things where it's like, if I tell you up front and you know what you're kind of getting into, then once it's all said and done, it's like, all right, I wash my hands. This is what we're doing. You were warned. Bada bing. I will say maybe I'm not so good at the warning sometimes, but I try.
Yeah, I mean, I think
make the attempt.
I feel like you probably should, maybe that you should, but like it could be interesting to just experiment with the go crazy go stupid you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the problem is that if I just let things be whatever the players are interested in at the time, then I have a hard time being interested and invested, and then I don't want to prep anything, and then things kind of fall apart and get boring. So if the players are like, we want to fight aliens, and I'm like, okay, you can go fight the aliens, and I really didn't want to fight the aliens, then I'm in this situation where I'm letting them do it because they're interested, but I really just cannot be bothered to give a fuck, and so I barely prep anything, or it's just not particularly interested because it's not particularly interesting because it's not the thing I was invested in. Because it's happened to me on a micro level a few times.
Well, because I only say because like I said at the beginning, I fell very much into the same problem where I was like, I don't really want to do this, I don't really care, like, But once I sort of, like hopped aboard I almost said bandwagon. It's not really a bandwagon. But once I fed into the sort of absurdity of it, it became more enjoyable. It almost became a, like you're doing one writing prompt and then you hit a point of block and then someone hands you a new writing prompt based on the first writing prompt. And you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on how crazy it is. Like, because here's the thing, I even hate this. I hate it when this happens in media too, right? Like if I'm watching a show, it's like, all right, it's like, all right, cool. You're watching, I'm watching Demon Slayer. The point, hunt demons, kill the demons, get revenge on the bad guy. That's the deal. The general vibe is the sort of shonen like journey to better yourselves, and it's the three, it's the main cast being homies and learning to be friends. If all of a sudden the show turns into like Tanjiro's deep existential dread with his drug problem and the fact that like his father abused it, like if all of a sudden things just like go way, I'm like, oh well, now I just don't care anymore, like my investment is gone. Even if it might be an interesting story, it's not what I was like signing up for, or look, to use another example, it's like, all right, you're watching JoJo, you're signing up for the crazy, the fucking over the top bullshit, the fucking ora punching through a jet wall, like through the walls of a plane, like is batshit time, and then all of a sudden everything gets really gritty and real, and like, someone gets like brutally murdered in a way that is not over the top stando nonsense, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Like I was here for the stupid, and now we're getting like serious and gritty, I just I don't, and some shows do it, and I'm like, nah, not about it, chief. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it could be a very interesting case study for the next time it happens. Just sort of play into it and see if... Oh, that was a weird... Yeah. Sorry. Play into it and see maybe if your interest is reinvigorated.
I kind of have, though. That's the thing. Like, I kind of have tried, and it's never... It's always felt kind of frustrating. Like, I haven't tried it I haven't necessarily done it on a really big scale, but I've done it in smaller, like in micro as like a test, and it's just like not into it. Because I'm like, I have a certain, I don't know really how to put it. I want, anytime I'm like signing up for a thing, playing a game, watching something, reading a book, I'm like, Sam?
No, it just reminded me of when we were talking about combat and how I said that what you might have a problem with is how you have this internal plan of how you want things to go, and then when it doesn't happen, you get disappointed. It just reminded me of that.
I mean, it's kind of similar. I think staying on tone, though, is like having an expectation for a tone, I think, is more reasonable to me. Having a strict expectation of a combat encounter is a little unreasonable. But being like, this is the tone I expect, I don't think
it's not
crazy.
I'm not saying that it's not unreasonable. I'm just saying that this is it's a reoccurring.
I mean, yeah, there's a parallel.
Idea. No, not that you're, wrong for having an opinion.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I will admit to it being kind of an issue with like individual encounters, but I don't feel like it's an issue on a more macro, like this is the tone of a campaign kind of scale.
Yeah, I mean it in the sense of like, if we were doing a game about like, piracy in the 1700s, right during the golden age of piracy, and then we were like, what if we did more of like a new world like, you know, like what if we tried settling down and starting a settlement, and like you may have really wanted to do pirates, but like maybe just trying to be like, yeah, we'll try this like settlement builder thing. Maybe you might find some new joy in like approaching the game from a different angle.
Yeah, I just like I get the proposition. I have a hard time imagining myself being able to stay invested if that were to happen. You know? Because I always come to a new campaign, because usually the reason that like a new campaign, like usually the reason I want to run a new campaign, right, is the impetus is I saw something, or I played a certain game, or you know, watched, you know, read a movie, read a book, watched a movie, read a book, and I saw it and went, oh, I want that, but in tabletop, right? So then I come to the campaign with the objective of recreate that tone. And that's usually the thing that gets me to run a new game. So because I come to, I very rarely, I'm trying to think if I've ever, I mean, probably a few times, but I very rarely come to the table and say, I just want to run a game. Fuck it. Let's find out what kind of game we're going to do later. I just want to run a game. I almost always come to the table of, I want to run this kind of game. Who's in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So it's like, essentially what I'm saying is I sort of set myself up for, not failure, but I sort of set up a certain expectation for myself because I'm saying I want to run this kind of game rather than just saying I want to run a game.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about how like potentially like you can achieve the same thing with just like a slight maybe shift in perspective, in the sense of like if you see it as I'm playing a different game, I'm just keeping the same player characters and the same, you know, like a few of the same NPCs and like the world in general.
Yeah, but that's not my initial investment. My initial investment is not the player character. They come later. So it doesn't matter necessarily that the player characters are the same if the tone has shifted so drastically it feels like a totally new campaign. Like, it's the same characters, but it feels like a completely different thing, right? That's kind of what I was saying before. It's like if suddenly, you know, Tanjiro's journey becomes about his struggle with drug abuse, I'm gonna be like, well, yeah, it's still the character I like, but not the vibe I was looking for, and now I'm not into it, you know?
Yeah, like I said, I understand the theory. I differ in my thoughts on the practice, but I understand the theory.
I mean, it's not, I say it's not a theory, but like, yeah, I guess that's the word.
Well, I was just trying to say, like, I understand why you would feel that way. I would be personally maybe a little bit more curious as to where it goes before I go like, I'm not about this. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, yeah. If I feel like it's going in an interesting direction, that's a little different. Like, if I had one idea and then things start to shift to another one, but the new idea seems intriguing enough, then I might, you know, sure, there's potential for me to be like, all right, I can shift the plan. But so far that hasn't happened to me. So far, the only situations that have happened to me is I had plan A, we have now shifted into B, I'm not liking B.
See.
You know? But yeah, I suppose the potential is there if like a player has a crazy idea that shakes things up. Oh, that's kind of an interesting shake.
Like, think about it, right? Think about Descent into Avernus, but as opposed to it being about defeating Zariel, I keep saying her name in the way I don't like. As opposed to beating Zariel, it just becomes like the Fast and the Furious in Hell. Specifically 1 through 3. It just becomes about demon drag racing.
Yeah, I mean,
I would be so down for that. I'm not even gonna front.
That would be.
I hate those movies, but I love that idea.
That'd be an interesting one. I don't know if I'd be 100% on board. That's an interesting thought.
Sam, we know what our next iteration of Descent into Avernus should become.
I It wouldn't even be descent into Avernus. It would just be descent into Drag.
Yeah, it'd be like, it's fine. Ascended in the Avern. I don't know.
Huh?
The accelerated and Avernus. Accelerated and Avernus.
I really like how you are very committed to the alliteration.
Well, because Fast and Furious.
Why not something like Devils and Drag Race? Like,
all right.
Ooh.
I wanted to work Avernus in there somehow.
Initial dungeons?
No, I'm gonna have to veto that one. Listen, I'll come up with a really stupid name and y'all will love it.
Aggressive,
all right, it's just like
aggressive and Avernus.
Running in Avernus?
running in Avernus. I like that one.
Souls, as opposed to gas.
Souls.
Yeah. These are good. I mean, literally just any Eurobeat title.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll workshop that one.
Would it be called Bator Beat as opposed to Eurobeat?
Sure. I guess.
I like this. This is a fun segue into something I was thinking about, and like this is not the topic for this, but that something like that, right? It's like it's not called Vaporwave in this universe. It's called Moisture Wave. If anyone gets that reference, sorry.
That sounds kind of gross.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand, but I was talking to Sam about this, about like, as a GM, I know we've all done this, where you come up with this like super complex and well thought out bit of lore that you know will never fucking come up. Nobody gives a fuck about why artificial food is not terrible for you nutritionally, but you think it's fucking neat and you write it anyway. Yeah.
Like that.
Yes. Or the fact that I know somewhere in Sam's universe there's a train waiting for us.
Don't get me started. You don't want this. You don't want this because there is a train.
Oh.
So I'd recommend looking up the Eberron trains and the rest. It's pretty great.
Oh no.
Sam's just gonna put a bullet. He's not even gonna.
They are in Eberron.
He's not even gonna justify it. It's just gonna be a straight.
Oh no,
up
it's
bullet
justified.
train.
No, it's completely justified. I have everything in place for it. Don't you worry.
Terrified.
You should be.
We're just gonna crash the train into the void and save the day.
Okay.
Maybe that will be the answer. We just have to crash the train with like 8 cubic tons of TNT strapped to the back into the twisting void, and then we just catch W's.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, somehow I don't think.
Good luck.
I feel like there's not many problems you can't solve with overwhelming force.
Isaiah, bring us to a close.
All right, fine. All right, well, with the subject of today finally past us, is there any advice you'd like to give to our dear listeners?
Honestly, don't be too beholden to your own ideas. Let the players tell their story. Sometimes it's a little infuriating, but at the end of the day, D&D is a group storytelling experience where we roll some dice and we hit some things with some sticks or magic sticks. It's a game.
Are you suggesting cracking the GM upside the head with a stick next time they don't let you do what you want?
No. I am suggesting that if you are monkey and you have stick, you go to school to learn how to use stick better.
Oh my god.
Shout out to Joe.
Oh my
Ape strong
Lord.
together.
Ape strong together.
I love the fact that he's the only one that's stuck with that meme.
I mean,
So good.
I hate it. All right. Okay, anybody else? Anyone's got some last minute advice before we hit them with the wrap up?
I think Sam had a good point. Oh, sorry. No, go for it, Josh.
All right, good.
No, go for it.
My voice tired of talking enough. You talk.
I was just literally gonna say, yeah, Sam. No, hit a good point. Let chaos, let the players, let them do it. Let them take the wheel. But when enjoy the bull ride, but when it gets time to get to the the final destination, quote, grab the bull by the horns and fucking just jam him into the wall and be like, no, we gotta go here.
Bull.
No, not like that.
Fuck the bull. You said fucking the bull. You said fucking something bull. I just don't fuck. No bull fucking. We don't condone bull fucking.
Are you okay?
I'm just confused.
Where's your brain right now?
I feel like he's
Speaking of
talked so
derailing.
much that he has just died. It's over.
I mean,
Just EXP smoothie?
something like that.
Nice. Okay. Well,
But
the smoothing has begun.
yeah, I don't know. Do as I say and not as I do. If you feel yourself derailing your own bullshit, put a hard pause on things and just be like, "Hey, players, I fucked up. We gotta like retcon or like reconfigure things or something. Cause don't be like me. Don't burn your own campaign to the ground because you're, I don't know, fucking stupid." I don't know. I don't have any good. I'm not helpful. How about them Yankees?
about the Yankees?
Mets.
Yeah, I am the damn.
It's all about the Mets, baby.
It's
Alright.
not about the campaign, I say.
It's all about the Mets.
It's not about the railroad, Spider-Man. It's about the Mets, baby. All right. Anyway, okay, that's been us. We've been sessions canceled. We love you guys. We'll see you next week.
What? What?
Yeah. No.
Gotta follow us on your podcast platform of choice, or subscribe, whichever word they use. You maybe leave a little rating and follow us over on the Twitter lands. If you did, you would know why we didn't have an episode. Well, this week as of recording. Last week when you'll be listening to this, I tweeted about it and you missed it because you didn't follow us on Twitter.
Spoilers.
Got him.
Our warp jump did not go according to plan.
Correct.
It might have some problems soon too. Who knows?